of guys have said they want to be the best receiving core in the country. They don't seem to be shying away at all from expectations. Is that what you encourage?
I think the biggest thing is just making sure that we're the best version of ourselves, and I think along with that, individual success comes team success, comes unit success. So for us, I mean, it's a challenge every day. Obviously, I know coaches talked about it. Is spring's about individual player development, and again, not being the same version of yourself that you were in the Cotton Bowl, and not being the same version of yourself you were a year ago now. And I know that's kind of coach lingo, but that's truly all we're preaching, is making sure that we're taking strides and getting better every single day. And I think we've been able to do that so far this spring.
Coach, when you return the top 7 receivers at the position, how does someone like a Daniel Blood or Joshua Manning stand out in camp so maybe they get some reps down the line?
Yeah, obviously, for those guys that get valuable reps last year and earn the opportunity to play in games is huge. You never truly know, especially with those guys coming in the summer, where you kind of, look back 2 years ago, like a Mekhi Miller and a Luther were early enrollees, where last year, Marquise, Josh, Daniel were all, basically summer enrollees. So to come in, to be able to learn the offense, to learn, and be able to contribute obviously offensively and on special teams was huge, and be able to build that depth last year, and then obviously to build off of that for their first spring, being in the room to be able to go through their first spring in a Mizzou jersey is huge, and just seeing their development and their growth has been encouraging. So just got to continue to force feed those guys reps and just continue to grow as we go into the last part of spring.
We were talking to Marquise last week, and he mentioned, he wants to take that next step and be more vocal, being more of a leader. What do you feel like the next step is for Marquise?
Yeah, obviously, again, you never know what you're truly going to get from a true freshman. I mean, they're learning a whole new lingo. They're living by themselves for the first time, so you really don't want to put a whole lot of expectations on a freshman. And for him, you kind of saw it year one with Luther. You don't want to move guys around and put too much on their plate, because you want to be able to be successful and have an opportunity to contribute. And I think that's the thing for him, is just continue to grow, continue to whether it's playing both the X and the Z, or obviously on special teams, just really continue to force feed the development piece, and just continue to be a all-around receiver, and just learning the little ins and outs that maybe he wasn't getting at this time last year while he was still in high school.
And Coach, with Theo, how much do you see him working the kind of craft of contested catches, and what does that look like for him to be able to just have that skill set?
Yeah, obviously that's something we try to emphasize. We try to, again, put those guys in uncomfortable situations in practice, so that way they can translate it to the game. And again, that comes down to body control, being able to get your hips flipped around last minute, and then obviously grip strength and things that go along with being a contested catch player. And for him, I mean, obviously it's been fun to watch the growth from that standpoint. And again, just the understanding that's got to be a big part of his game, and him understanding that and attacking that. And again, I've seen him do that again this spring, which has been encouraging, and continue to work on that. So that's obviously an encouraging part of his game.
Coach Mookie Cooper said a week or so ago that he was thinking about the portal and stuff like that, but ultimately decided to return. What's it like to have someone like him back?
Yeah, obviously new age of college football, right? Like you always, every year is an assessment. But again, for him, just a guy that's obviously a local St. Louis product, that's been through all the adversities, all the things that a college football player's seen, whether it's injury or just working his way into the rotation, into a starter. And again, just a guy that brings it every single day, so consistent, works his tail off in every drill. You have to almost kick him out of the front of the line. He's going to be first in drills, and just the guys really look up to him because of the way he works. And again, he just loves the grind of it. And obviously excited to have him back for his senior year.
For Luther, where do you feel like you saw him grow the most maybe last season, and what do you feel like he still has to work on?
Yeah, no, obviously Luther, got kind of pushed in there as a true freshman, and probably would say played a little bit out of position. Moving into the slot was more his natural position. Again, just we would all say his one of his best attributes is yards after catch, and just being able to really make sure that we emphasize that and not letting that first defender tackle him. And again, just from a structure standpoint, again, it's really hard for freshmen to get on the field, especially in this conference and this league, and to play the reps that he did, and be able to learn from the successes, but also learn from the things that maybe didn't go his way as a true freshman, and just continue to grow off of that. But again, you saw his body transition, again, play multiple sports in high school to get the full strength and conditioning and the full, piece of the puzzle, as you may say. It was really important, as he continued to grow. And then you just saw his body transition, and, from a nutrition standpoint, a strength standpoint, obviously our nutrition staff, our strength staff, and Luther along with them did a tremendous job as he kind of worked into year 2.
With Luther, is there anything he can do as far as route running to position himself more to get in those yards after the catch positions?
Yeah, obviously we want to make sure, with our offensive system with Coach Moore, we essentially run every route that you can run, right? Like they kind of get every little piece of that. So just continue, there's always something to work on, right? Whether it's in and out of breaks, getting your depths, pad level, all the little details that go along with the route running, and just making sure, again, you kind of see as guys get older in their career, they kind of like to hear what they need to be better at versus what they're good at, if that makes sense. So he's very open he has that coach me coach mindset. He every day wants to know, hey, I didn't get this right, how can I be better at this? And we'll obviously attack those along the way. But again, just excited for year 3 of Luther Burton and just seeing that continued growth, that continued development.
Coach, how much easier has your job been the last year or so when you have everybody being able to play at their position? I remember in 2022, Luther's freshman season, it seemed like you had a lot of slot guys. Luther, Dominic, Barrett, Mackay. So how much easier is it now when you kind of have everybody fit into their own roles?
Yeah, obviously, every year is a new year, right? You got to reassess and see what your needs are. For us, we want to make sure that it's almost, you don't want cookie cutter copies. You don't want the same guy. It's almost, you've heard the analogy, building a basketball team on grass. You don't want all centers. You don't want all point guards. You got to have different guys that do different things at, different parts of the field. And, again, having a yard after catch guy, or maybe it's a 50-50 catch guy, or, a guy that's really good in the red zone, or, a savvy slot that can get open. You gotta have different pieces of the puzzle, so that way when the different part of the game presents itself, you hopefully have someone that can make a play in that moment.
Is there any challenge to keeping your guys, hungry? They came into last year with a lot of questions, and this year they come in with a lot of people, praising them.
Yeah. No, honestly, the answer to that is no. I mean, this group, that's the one thing that I've seen from just this spring alone, like they love the work. I think it goes to that coach me coach mindset. You've seen it, through the years as a coach. Some guys just aren't open to criticism, aren't open to hearing the things they don't do well. This group, they welcome it. They want to know what they can get better at. And I'm pretty vocal, I would say, at practice. And these guys, they invite it, they want it, they want to be the best version of themselves. And again, that's where Coach Drink and the individual development piece is so huge with this group, because every single one of them has something to work on. We sat down before spring and said, hey, these are 2, 3, 4 things that we got to really get better at. They've all welcomed that, and they've all been working at it. And again, they enjoy practice. And that's when you got a group that enjoys the grind of practice, because obviously, some of these guys, this is their 5th, 6th spring ball, right? And sometimes you've seen guys in the past that, they're maybe not as interested in that part. This group, they love it. They love the work. They love to compete. And I think that's the biggest thing too, is you're seeing guys, both sides of the ball really compete every single day. The iron sharpens iron piece, right? Like you've seen guys, at DB and safety and linebacker, and those guys are really competing every single day to push each other, because they know if they push each other, they're going to be, a better version of themselves. So it's been good to see that part.
Theo identified as run after the catch of something that he wants to see Marquise maybe take the next step in his second year. How have you seen him improve in that area?
Yeah, that was one of the things that we really sat down as a group and identified the yak yards, as we call them. I tell them every day, there's no rule in football the first guy's got to tackle you, right? Great example of that was the Florida game with Theo. You saw him a little hide route behind the line of scrimmage, and you saw guys blocking for each other. We call that play forward, where you're trying to turn and block. But also, again, you saw Theo shrug a guy off, make a guy miss, and run down the sideline. Same thing with Luther in the Kansas State game on that big touchdown on our sideline. Those are the things that we got to see if we really want to take the next step as a group, is just not accepting that first guy making the tackle and turning a simple, easy, short screen or short pass into an explosive. And so that's the thing that I've really sat down and really stressed, and they've really bought into, is whether it's a special teams drill or an offensive drill, and really emphasizing trying to get those explosives off of a simple pass. So that's something as a group that we're definitely working on.
Coach, I remember from the fall there being a lot of talk of blocking on behalf of the Wandos. Just, where does that stand heading into the spring as maybe an emphasis point?
Yeah, no question, right? Like if obviously as a group, that's the one thing that we talk about in our room: no block, no rock, and that's a huge emphasis for us every single year. And for us, that's what I love about Coach Drink is an emphasis is going to get emphasized, right? And for us, you saw, especially later in the year, some of the things that those same, no different when I was telling you with the easy passes, some of those runs were turning more into explosive runs, because again, our guys taking pride in doing their job, and that's something that's always fun. I remember the Arkansas game, for example. We're sitting there, and I remember Mookie Cooper was making a comment, and he was blocking his tail off, and he was doing some things, and Cody came and dapped him up, and he's like, "Man, I'm not getting these without you." And that's when you see that stuff come full circle, and the pride that they take in that. And again, I think that's something we always have to get better at as a group. You always have to, make sure that's a huge emphasis, and you get what you emphasize. So for us, that's always going to be day one emphasis, and it's going to be day 15, it's going to be day one of fall camp. That's the one thing that we're always going to make sure we emphasize in our room, because truly that's what's going to allow us to be the best offense. Is if we're doing our job on the perimeter, we're only going to add to the value of the offense.
How much more comfort do you notice in the guys, not just another year with you, but another year with Kirby, with Brady? There's a lot that's the same.
Yeah, continuity, right? It's hard to get, especially in today's modern world of college football. I was talking with Brady this morning at breakfast, and it's really obviously great to have a guy that's been in the battles, and it's, again, no different where Brady has seen the good, the bad, and the ugly that goes along with football. And again, just having the continuity. For us, going through, you're always in spring is a time, obviously, of development. It's also a time to kind of see if you want to, try this, whether it's a technique or whatever it may be. Hey, that didn't work. Hey, that did work. Let's build off of it. But the biggest jump for those receivers, in my opinion, comes post-spring ball, because they're a year older, they're a year wiser, they're a year, further along in their development. Then they get to really attack that with the quarterbacks, whether it's timing. That's really where you see the timing and those things you always hear about, is when us coaches walk off the field and we're not allowed out there, they're really focused on, those little details between, the quarterback and receivers. And sometimes it's even silent communication between them, and they're on the same page. So that's really where that continuity and those timings and those things come from.
With the blocking, what are kind of the first steps of installing that, especially when you have guys coming in at all different levels of experience of depending on what they did in high school?
Yeah, again, kind of go back to, you get what you emphasize, right? If you go into day one of say, for instance, we'll have 2 guys that enroll this summer, right? If we wait till day 3, day 4, day 5 to start talking about blocking, probably not going to get the emphasis you need. So it's got to be the first day, the first meeting, the first time they walk in there. You got to make sure that you're setting the tone with that. And as you've been here, and as guys seen the successes and the failures that go along with it, all you got to do is just show them the film, right? Hey, here's an example where we did our job, and look at this play. Or hey, here's a video of us not doing our job, and the explosive or the play didn't work the way we wanted it to. So again, I think it's like everything else. You show them the good and the bad that goes along with doing your job and not doing your job, and you just got to get the emphasis piece on it.